Welcome to Tim's Corner Live, episode number 14. And we've got a little bit of a special guest here this evening. Not really much of an intro, but you should know this guy from the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour. He's won a couple of big races around here. We said we have Denver Matchett. It's not Denver Matchett. He's won a staff race at Miramichi before. But we do have Dylan Blenkhorn here tonight, subbing in for Dylan Langell on the Tim's Corner Live show for social media. Are you ready for this, Dylan?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty big shoes to fill, Tim. Tim told me I wasn't gonna really be on camera tonight. I was just gonna be behind the scenes, but here we go.
we'll get you off camera here in a moment, but you told me that if we ever needed somebody for social that you kind of fill in. So we're calling the bluff tonight. So if you have questions, comments for any of our guests this evening, Jarrett Butcher is waiting in the wings. Drop them down below and interact with us here tonight and interact with Dylan Blenkhorn. This is going to be a pretty fun show. Denver, I know while me and Jarrett and Dylan and Chase and Dan are all in lockdown, you're getting ready for a race and mare machine in a week and a half. How's it going?
Oh, well, Tim, it's going. Communication's ongoing with public health just in terms of the fine little details. We should be all set to go with some bomber mini stock, street stock action, and of course the spring smash. Lots of details to come out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited to get the season started off, and hopefully, fingers crossed, things stay good, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, that Nova Scotia starts to see things turn around or drop after some of the last couple of days. And you guys will be able to join us soon, turning left on the racetracks. But lots of excitement to come forward. It's hard to believe. I believe when we did our first show, Tim, we were exactly 3 months to the first scheduled race, and now we're a week and a half away. It's hard to believe. The spring weather's here, and it's soon time to go racing, at least in the province of New Brunswick.
Absolutely. And we've had some updates on the COVID goings on, I guess. We'll get Paul to pop it up on the screen. 2 cancellations for the month of May so far. We'll begin with Sydney Speedway. Obviously, with everything going on here, testing's not allowed at any Nova Scotia racetrack because that's considered a sports practice. So you've got Sydney Speedway, and Oyster Bed Speedway has diverged all their racing to June at least. They have a plan in place. They're working with public health. It looks like they're going to go racing in June pending anything changing, Denver. But obviously, Scotia Speed World starts late. They start May 28th weekend, the weekend after the long weekend. Valley Raceway is the same weekend. Lake Dowsett doesn't get started until June. So they're a little further away in the month. Sydney was supposed to start the May 15th, 16th weekend. So they are done for June. Also on your screen, obviously, the Bandolero Blast-Off not happening. The Spring Smash, as you mentioned, Denver is happening. And there are contingency plans in place for Petty, as what we saw on the weekend that Ellen and Wayne posted, that if something does happen, if the borders don't open, they will still be running their weekly or their regular opener, including the Atlantic Modified Tour on the 23rd. So Denver, there's some changes coming.
There's a lot of change, Tim. It's good to see that we're starting to talk about at least some form of racing. Oyster Bed Speedway, that's got to be one of the big stories. They did not turn a lap in a race there last year. So for them to be looking at June potentially opening up for racing, that's huge. And everyone on the island's excited. And right now, Nova Scotia is obviously not in the best of places, but we're hoping that gets better. But this time last year, we weren't even talking about racing. We didn't even know if that was on the table. So there's definitely some positives. The vaccines are rolling out and whatnot. We just got to get through the next couple of weeks, and hopefully, by June or early July, we're at all maritime provinces turning laps.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hopefully we can get back to normal. But speaking of normal, we're hoping to get racing at Petty Raceway in May. Who knows what's going to happen? But we got a guy here that's looking for that checkered flag in the first East Coast International Maritime Pro Stock Tour race of the season. Whenever it does happen, driver of the number 54, Jarrett Butcher, is joining us here this evening. Jarrett, welcome to the show. Glad you took some time off and to join us this evening and shoot the breeze a little bit.
Thanks for having me on here. I watched your show last week, actually, first time, and then you asked me about coming on here. So, no, we're here and should be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. Looking forward to this 2021 season. Obviously, with everything going on and the lockdown and the cases rising, everybody was getting ready for the season. How are your preparations going now?
They're going good. Cole's car, he's just about done. In my car, we should have most of the body done on it this weekend. We kind of slacked off a little bit, with the whole cases, knowing that we aren't going to go racing all May, but we want to get it done and over with. So then it's sitting there and we're ready to go testing whenever we can. And we'll always have something to work on. So. And
I guess we'll start because you were the last maritime driver besides Wayne Smith, who was down in Florida for the winter, to really get on a racetrack, you and your brother, and you came home with a trophy at the Snowflake 100. I guess we'll start there and we'll work our way backwards. Talk about that race. How big was that to go down there your first time, get on the podium, and bring some hardware home to Nova Scotia?
It was huge actually. I exceeded my expectations. I think I exceeded a lot of people, but mine especially. I went down there with an open mind. Top 10, top 15, honestly. And my other mindset was to go down there was you go down there, it's a fast track. You just have to do it. There's no, being scared of the speed, because if you're scared of that, there's no point in going almost. So went there with an open mind, and I listened to Cole a little bit. He was focused on his car more so. But I had Donnie, and I had Donnie's crew and Chandler Smith and Caden. They helped me quite a bit, and I watched a lot of in-car before I went down there, which made a big difference on me. Went testing the week before, and we tested really good actually, and to come home with a podium was big, huge actually. I know, top two, one gets qualified, one didn't finish, but still we would have finished fifth, which is huge, and it was better than Cole's first time down there.
It's the snowball derby. It's the snowflake. It's you've got the expectations going in, but running in the top 5 late in that race, how were the nerves coming up to those final couple of laps, knowing that I'm up here with the best of the best, getting to race with these guys and competing up front?
They weren't too bad, honestly. I was actually kind of surprised. I know when I got up behind Bubba, I think I was 4th at that point with like 20 or 30 to go. I was seeing their race pretty hard. I'd say, I don't know if it's nervous or pressure or what it was, but maybe a little nervous when I got behind them, because they were racing hard and they were 3 wide at one point. You're just wondering, what's going to happen, and what kind of move you're going to have to make, and not screw them up, because they are the best. They race there every month, or and that's their big race too. So, but to know I could race with them was a big accomplishment.
Now, looking back, I guess at the end of the season, this 2020 season that we had here was a little bit up in the air. Obviously, we got started in Petty when the borders open. We move forward. We got a couple of Maritime Pro Stock Tour races in there. I want to talk about those in a second, because there was a couple of schemes that you ran on your race car. But going into that 2020 season, not knowing what to expect, and then all of a sudden the writ drops and says, hey, we're going to race at Petty. What was the thoughts there, and how did it change your guys' schedule, and how did you guys have to pivot to look at that schedule in New Brunswick?
It didn't really change. It didn't change much. I mean, we were ready to go racing. We wanted to go racing, and everyone on our crew wanted to. So we just went and did it. The mindset going into it was, you're not running for points, but you don't want to go there and wreck your car every week. But you're not running for points, which was actually kind of relaxing, just to go there, race, and just do the best you can. I didn't have as much success as I wanted to, over the course of 2020, but going to the end of 2021, 2020 with the snowflake gave me a lot more confidence going into 2021.
We are live and interactive here this evening with Jarrett Butcher. Drop us a comment, a question, what have you, and we'll get the newcomer, the rookie to this social media thing, Dylan Blenkhorn, on it. Dylan, what are you seeing? Any comments on there? Is there anybody on there?
I got 2 screens here. I'm not used to 2 screens. I'm still trying to figure it out. Get a few people commenting on the clean shaving this week, Tim. Clean shave, I see that. Before we get on that, because I actually have a few questions for Jared. I always wondered. First of all, congratulations on the Derby. I haven't been talking to you yet. That's pretty neat to see a local guy go down and have a shot to win the thing. I thought that was pretty neat. So congratulations on that, first of all. The first question, and I know everyone's wondering, running against your brother, that must be, I don't know. I mean, I can kind of relate a little bit, because I ran against my father for years, and it was definitely different. You definitely treated him a lot different on the racetrack. You definitely wanted to beat him, because this is the conversation you'd have at supper the next night, or if you beat him bad, maybe on the way home you guys wouldn't talk. what's it like running against your brother, and then do you treat him any different on the racetrack than you would lend another car?
Like the starting out years, I would say, like mainly when we get in the legend cars, because Bando's when he hit his stride, I was just starting to get mine, and then when I got mine, he was in legend cars, and when we got into legend cars, like later years of legend cars, when I won my championship and stuff, we started to race harder, but still I was probably a little intimidated by him, I would say. That'll probably go to his head. But I'd say a little intimidated by him, and then, I got better, and I kind of looked at it as just another car on the track almost, and it helped me a lot. That's the mindset he has, so I just had to say screw it, and that's my mindset too. And then getting into the pro stock, again, intimidated by him a little bit. He's up there winning championship and races, and I'm out here learning still. And then probably 2019, I'd say more so than anything. I got a lot better. I was running up near the front more every week, more so top 5, top 3, a couple trains for races. And then I think now whenever me and Cole get around each other, I think, and it's Dad doesn't want to see it as much because they're his cars, but I think we race each other harder than we race anybody else. We spun ourselves out at the Cat 215. I think it was 2019. I tried to cut in front of him, and then the last race of the year. He won it, and I caused my own problem for not winning it. But we were banging doors. He was shoving me out of the way, and I was door slamming him. And for Dad, again, that's not good. But for us, our mindset is we raced each other as hard as we could race each other.
Bringing home one race car is enough wrecked, but 2 wrecked race cars makes for a long week. I guess to follow up on that, how did it, Cole, he's a setup guru. He's been around race cars for long enough. How did it change? Did he help you, set your car up and give you driving tips? And then when you started kind of maybe beating him the odd weekend and being competitive, did things change in the shop at all?
Not so much. Cole, like you said, Cole's pretty smart when it comes to setup. He'll help me. He'll give me, he'll point me in the right direction. He has his car figured out, and he'll give me pointers where I should go and stuff like that. But when it comes down to setting the car up and gale forcing the shocks and figuring out what I need to put in it, that's my duty. He might point me in the right direction, and he'll tell me what I need at first, and it's for that track. And then it's my job for the rest of the year to record that and keep that in and keep putting that in if it works. When it comes to the racetrack, he doesn't want to be bothered. He's there for his race and his race car only, and I'm there for mine. So to ask him questions at the racetrack is a waste of time almost.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's a lot nicer than I would be, because if the first night you beat me, I'd be covering my shit up. I'd have caution tape around my car, and you would not be looking at that thing. So, but what else have we got here? Tim, what the clean shaven? What'd you get? Caught in the whippersnipper, mowing the lawn, or what?
Well, that was actually last week. We got that done. We touched it up a little bit tonight, but a little bit of a different look. And Jarrett's got that little bit of a what happened over the winter here?
It started when I went to Florida, and I haven't really. I trimmed it, but I haven't really shaved. Dad wants me to shave. He hates it, but I don't.
Well, maybe we can take a friendly vote among the listeners and the watchers that are on here tonight. Give us a comment if you like that. Maybe we can prove Dad wrong here, right?
Uh-oh, I got a little beef here. This might sound a little beef.
He's stubborn. He's gonna give up.
Lonnie might be starting a little beef between the brothers.
Read it off, Dylan.
Is it true that you out-qualified and finished better than Cole did at your first trip to the Snowflake, wink face? Is that true? I don't know. I don't know. But...
Yes, it is. He qualified 13th and finished 6th, and I qualified 9th and finished 3rd.
Oh, God. Lonnie.
What we said at the... Go ahead.
I think Lonnie was down there, too, wasn't he?
No. Yeah, he was down there. He was working on the 2 car with Bon Zeus. At the end of the Derby on Sunday night, we all went out to supper, and Cole's not afraid to show what he does, or what he if he wins or he finishes better than me, he's not afraid to tell you. So after the Derby, Donnie and the whole crew and everyone was going on. I was the best finishing butcher out of me and Cole, and I did better than Cole, and the best finishing Wilson car over the whole week and all that stuff. So I was any point I could, I would dig at Cole.
Oh God, that'd make for a long winter.
I was gonna say, does that go on to the next tour race? Is that the next time that we get to settle that?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I said to Cole, I said maybe I should go down to South. I said I do better down the South than I have in the tour so far. So.
Well, for sure, we're live and interactive. Be sure to drop some comments, some questions. Keep Dylan busy over there on
What's
social.
This, Paul? I see Paul has a question. I don't know this, but he said they used to race the Tour. Did they go to the road course in the 80s? Or no, that wasn't that like downtown?
That was the Moosehead Grand Prix. I think I think NASCAR went there. What used to be the Pro Stocks back in like the early 70s.
What do you guys think about racing? What do you guys think about racing the road course? Make it part of your tour. Jeez, I think we have enough trouble turning one way, let alone turning both ways.
Well, you guys both ran legend cars there, didn't you?
Yeah, I've done that a few times. I think Jarrett, you were there too a few times.
Yeah, I was there. I mean, I like doing the road course and legend car once a year. I wouldn't want to do it all the time, because I mean, to change everything over is, for one race, it's not a crazy amount of work, but it's enough that if you had any damage and do all that, it's a lot.
It's a bigger racetrack though. Maybe we could do like social distancing and convince the Nova Scotia to let us race.
This is true. Might be hard to pass. So.
We'd have to get it by Ken and the folks at the tour, but maybe it's something we can think about down the road. I want to go back to something you mentioned, Jared. The 2019 season finished third on the tour. There was I think it was the race at Oyster Bend. Didn't you blow a motor and you had your brother's motor in the race car? How big was that for the team to change everything that day to get a car ready at the racetrack for the race?
That was actually pretty big. I mean, me and Cole both went there. He wasn't running full time that year, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But I blew a motor, and they had the and we didn't have our spare motor with us, and they had it in my car and going, I think, within like an hour and 20 minutes from the time they started to the time they ended, which was I think it's pretty good for pulling a full motor of each car,
And getting it on the racetrack and preparing for points, and especially with Cole being able to do that, with him not running for points. And I think that was, if it was 1918, didn't he sweep both races over there too? So there was momentum going in there. You guys were on a high going into Oyster Bend that
year. Yeah, we were. I mean, I ran legend car at Oyster Bend, and I love the track, and I configured it there. In pro stock, I'm having a little bit harder time. Like Cole has that track figured out. I mean, he has to, most tracks figured out, but I'm slowly figuring it. I'm slowly figuring it out. It's just it's hard. It's very hard to pass. I mean, Gillen's had success there, and I mean, he knows what he's how to get around that place. But I'm slowly getting it. It's hard. I find I have a lot harder time with that track than I do most.
Is there any racetrack that might have been a little bit easier that we run on the tour, going from legend cars to pro stocks, that you just picked up on quickly?
I mean, as much success as I had at Scotia, I would not, and I cannot, and then running petty, I've always run decent petty. I would say petty was probably my easiest. I've done Scotia, took a little bit of time to figure out, like turn 3, there's a big bump going into turn 3, so figuring that out and being consistent at it, that took my biggest. So probably petty, I would have to say.
I want to ask you about the throwback schemes. I guess we'll start with the first one, that was the Jim Hallahan 250, and you running that hugger scheme for Jim, because Jim didn't know, nobody knew going into that race that car was going to be there. How special was that to put that thing on the racetrack that afternoon in Halifax?
It was pretty cool, I'll say. I felt honored to run it. It was actually like Dad and Kirk's idea. Liz was really the only, other than like, yeah, and it was cool. I felt pressure on me, knowing, being really good friends with Jim and having that scheme, it had some pressure on me. And going into that race, I had confidence, and I didn't get the result I wanted, but the confidence was pretty big, and to run that scheme was actually had a lot of pressure. I felt like it had a fair amount of pressure.
And with Jim there and everything, everybody has a favorite Jim story. Do you have a favorite Jim story you can share with us?
I mean, there's a lot. I don't know exactly any of them. I mean, or I should say one exactly, but I mean, just hearing the way from Jim when he talks, where he used to race and up in Ontario and stuff like that, how what we have today is not even close to what they had back then, and they're probably doing the same thing. Maybe not as fast. No, probably are, but it's just crazy that part. Like he would tell you, they didn't have any power steering and all, and I couldn't imagine not doing this without power steering, to be honest.
Now you go from that 1 week at Scotia Speed World to the next week at the Mike Stevens Memorial. That car was still orange, but it had a 50 on it and was a throwback to your father's racing days. What was it like to do that and put the Atlantic Tilt Load name on the side of that orange race car?
Well, it was good. It was cool to do. Dad's dream was to go pro stock racing, and he wasn't able to do that when he was younger. So for us to do it, for me and Cole to be able to do it is really cool, and for letting us do it, and then to put his scheme on it was big too. I don't know if I still do, but last year or in the year before, someone gave me a picture of that car, like when he raced, and they taped it to my toolbox, so I'm pretty sure it's still there. But it was good. I was happy to run it until about lap 125, and then I wasn't really happy about anything.
Well, the last time I talked to your father about it, I think it was the next week in Annie Ganesh, and I said, "How's the race car?" He said, It's tore up. We're gonna try to get what we can out of it, and maybe make a vintage car out of it, and get him behind the wheel. Has that thought ever come back across his mind that he was going to get into a vintage car?
He would love to. I mean, me and Cole would both like to put him in a race car or vintage, but we actually sold that car to Chris Dingle. We wanted to, but we have a lot on our plate now that it would be hard to do between the legend car and racing pro stock and racing a bunch of open race. Now it was going to be hard to do, but hopefully in the future.
We're live and interactive with Jarrett Butcher. I start to see some comments coming in there, Dylan. We're going to put you back on the spot. What are you seeing over there?
There's a few rolling in here. Craig Sonnenlight, are you Cole Butcher's little brother? We got
Actually, the other way
Lonnie.
around.
Thank you for anything, Hugger. Tyler, that was good. This is a good one here. How do you like working with the Wilson crew? Sean Pierce asked, how do you like working with the Wilson crew? I guess how would it be different? I guess working with your crew you race with every week, and then going down there and I guess not only a different race car, a different race track, and I guess a different crew. So I guess how's it different, and what are the pros and cons?
I would say, like, as far as personality wise, I mean, they have real good personality. They're all awesome to deal with down there. Donnie, he's great to deal with. The difference, I guess, would be that's their job. They work on carts every single week. They race these tracks all the time. They get paid. They get paid to go to the racetrack. They get paid to work on these cars, which I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I guess when they show up to the track, they're there for one thing and one thing only. And that's to race. That's to win, and that's what we all go there to do. But they don't. When it comes to race day, they don't really mess around as much. Like, when the car comes in, they do their duty. There's no question about it. So that may be a little bit different, I guess. You can't our guys, they're all good help. Actually, they're great help. They do everything we need them to do. What's going on here? You still got me?
Yeah, we still got you.
Oh yeah, look at that. But they're awesome to deal with. Donnie, Donnie was probably my crew chief the whole week, really, and it's probably a good thing because he is very stubborn, and I needed someone very stubborn. Because when we unloaded the car, he took it out first. He took it out first run, and that was his first time ever being in a pro car. And he said, this car is good. So I got in it, and I was learning, and I kept saying, no, the car is tight. The car is tight. And he kept saying, no, you need a tight car. You just gotta figure out how to drive this track. And he kept that on me all week, and that was probably a big thing. It wasn't. I didn't fight with him about it or anything. I listened to him, and I learned, because we do fight. Me and Dad and Cole, we all fight. Can't say we don't. But I learned, and he just kept on me all week. Okay, you've got to do this. You got to open your line up here. Like, he paid a lot of attention to that part, and that probably made a big difference. Just having your focus on that one car. There wasn't, people jumping back and forth, and me saying, Dad, well, what do you think of this? And Cole saying to Dad, like, we had our own deal. We went down there, our own cars were looked after. I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, that's definitely that'd be a pretty neat experience. And I guess the question I have, because I've been around a lot of the butcher campfires, the night before the race and the night after the race. And there's a lot of nights I've seen the sun come up. So what's the difference? Do they stay up as late down there, or when they stay up late, are they working on the race cars, or are they around the campfire having a few Bud Lights?
No, when they want to have fun, they have fun. I mean, like the night for the Derby, I think some of them were having a little bit of fun. And the night after the Derby, Donnie took us all out, and they went all drinking and took us out a big supper, and they were all partying. Like, they would fit in really good with us. They like to drink, but I don't think they can drink as much as say our crew, but they can definitely have fun.
Big shoes to fill.
That's what they always say when we go down there. Is they'll, like, when so Mom and Dad wasn't able to go down this year, and James and Pixie and Dave and all them weren't able to go down, but they always when they went down before, they would supply beer, and they couldn't get over. Oh, it's a good thing starting off. They couldn't get over of how much beer they would drink when they went down there.
Yeah, that's usually the case. The Americans usually think they can outdrink the Canadians, but it's usually not the case.
I mean, it is Cinco de Mayo, right? Anything else you're seeing on there, Dylan?
I dried up a little bit.
Okay. If
Again, I can only work one screen at a time, so maybe there's only 2 or 3 screens I'm not looking at, but
we'll get around there. We're live and interactive. Drop us a question, drop us a comment for Jarrett Butcher, and we'll get the new social media guy on it. Denver, I know the wheels are turning over there. What do you got for Mr. Butcher?
Okay, I want to start off and put Jarrett on the spot a little bit. So, and this is about your brother, so this is going to be fun. A couple weeks ago, when the Maritime Pro Stock Tour announced the new title sponsor, East Coast International, Cole was featured in the announcement video. So, put you on the spot, Jared. Rate his skills in the video for the announcement and acting.
I'd give him a 3 or 2 or 3 or 4 maybe at most, I guess.
So you could do better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say he's like a wannabe full circle. That's what he.
So let's talk about that announcement. The big new sponsor for the Pro Stock Tour, now the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour. Your thoughts on that big announcement?
I think it's awesome. Press Truck Pro Stock Tour has always been with us for a long time, and they were awesome to have as a sponsor. They have a new one. It's a fresh. I guess it's something fresh. I think some big things will come from it, and I think you might even see more people at the track, because it's anyone who's involved in racing a lot of times is involved in like a construction industry or a trucking industry. So hopefully this will bring some more fans to the track because of International and Dave Lockhart.
So you're still looking for that first win. So whenever we get that first race or sometime this year, if you're running second place in the closing laps, what can the fans expect? And does that answer change depending on if it's your brother or not in front of you?
No, I mean, I've done a bump and run before, and it's been successful. It hasn't been successful. It hasn't been successful for a win yet, but if Cole's in front of me, it's not gonna change. I don't want to wreck anybody, but I want to win. So you move them regardless of who it came down to. But Cole would move me, and I would move him. He's proven that, and we've banged, so it wouldn't change any thought.
I remember a few years ago in the NASCAR Cup Series, Kurt Busch said he wished he had wrecked Kyle for the win, and there was some sort of controversy going on there. Kyle said, you don't tell the other person what you would do or something like that. But anyway, so let's kind of look to a broader scheme, Jared. So say we get open borders and the international borders and all sometime in the near future. Is there any race that you want to get to? You ran the Snowflake 100. What's next on that bucket list?
I mean, dreams to do the Derby, but I would probably wait another year, do another pro race. I'd like to go do Hickory in Nashville. Nashville seems like a really cool track. It's old. It's fast, but it's rough. I think that would be a really fun track to go to. And if the borders open up, I'll go back down to the Snowflake. I wouldn't do the Snowball Derby yet, just for the fact of experience. I'd rather have more experience before I get into that.
We've talked a lot about pro stocks. I want to kind of bring it back to Legends, because you've been out of Legends for a couple of years. You've won championships on the League of Legends Tour. You've won a ton of races across Atlantic Canada. You've been down south. You've raced at Winter Nationals and all the big events. Last couple of years, we've got Hoosier Tires. We got FC09 Motors. I know you've had a car in your shop. I know you've had your finger kind of on the pulse of that Legend car deal. What do you think of the new innovations that are coming to that Legend car?
I mean, I think it's good. The FC09, I've only ever driven one of those engines once. I tried Braden Angels at the end of this year. It's, the big thing with them, with the older legend car motors, was the longevity of them. They wouldn't last as long because of, they're air cooled and they would get hot. So I think the S09 is good in the long run. The tires, I don't know much about them. I know they're not cutting tires anymore, which was a big thing with the Federals. So that probably cuts the cost down. I don't think we're going any faster with them. I think it's just mainly just the cost of them and trying to keep all tires, mainly for race cars, the same make probably.
So if the opportunity ever arose again to get yourself in a legend car, would you take the opportunity to do so? And if so, would there be a racetrack that you want to put that legend car start at?
Yeah, if the opportunity is there, I would race legend car. I was gonna do it a couple like 2 years ago, probably at Scotia, and then just didn't bother with it. But to get back in like I got back in legend car last year just for like a quick practice, and I was surprised of how I would say difficult it was to get back in one just because you get into a pro stock and you think a pro stock's rough, on our shocks and on our track. Then you get back into a legend car and it's like you think you're on steel rods driving around the track. It was just so much different. But if I could race a legend car again, I'd take one back to PEI. That's a really fun track for legend cars.
I want to talk about paint schemes because we talked about the throwbacks at the end of the year, and the base scheme that you had in 2020 was really sharp. You started way out with those traction blue colors, blue and yellow, back in the Bandolero days, and kind of worked your way up to the black and the red. Is there any change in the paint scheme? You mentioned potentially a new body on the car. Is there a change in paint scheme coming for this year?
No, I think for like the first time ever in my pro stock career, I'm actually going to keep the same scheme as I did last year. I took it down to the Derby with me, and then that Will Cox Jr. he raced at New Smyrna, and then I noticed there's another car. I forget what number, I forget who it was. I think maybe 55 or 44. They were running the scheme too, so pretty popular, and I like the scheme.
Often imitated, never duplicated, right?
Yes, that's true.
Is there a scheme from, obviously the 2020 scheme is sharp. Is there a scheme from your previous years, whether it's a legend, a Bandolero, or early in your pro stock days that you look back and say, I'd like, if I ever throw it back to one of my schemes, I'd like to run that
again? I mean, if you had to do a true throwback, I guess you go back to the Bandos day. I mean, I had a blue car. I don't know how good it would look at the pro stock, but if you had to do a throwback, I guess it would be that one, just because that's where I started.
There has been some sharp schemes. Yeah, there's been some sharp schemes over the year, but I think that blue car completely different than what you guys have been running the last couple of years. Dylan, you got anything on social? It looks like it's almost dried up over there. They need to keep you busy.
It dried up. It's actually, I just ran out back. I got a guy moving a trailer for me right now, but no, I just sat down. But there's nothing new, guys. Geez, there's 60. There's a lot of people on here. Must be something. Someone must have something to ask.
Hit Jared, that like Cole. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. Get your name on here. We'll throw your name up on there. Keep Dylan busy over there on social. We got a couple of more minutes left with Jarrett. Chase and Dan MacKay are coming up, and I guess we'll go with this. Chase is a kid that started with a Bandolero. He's worked his way up into legend, and eventually he may work his way up into a pro stock. What kind of advice can you give a young kid like Chase, knowing, Jarrett, that you were there a couple of years ago in that Bandolero racing into a legend and into pro stock? What kind of advice can you give a young star like Chase MacKay?
I'd say a big thing coming up through would be, I don't know if it wouldn't be the cringe part, but it'd be just respect. Get respect from other people and they'll respect you. I've been in the situation where I've not given respect and it's come back and bite me, and I've given respect and it come back and benefit me. It's a big thing, especially coming into pro stocks. I mean, most people that are in pro stocks have been here longer than me, and So for a young guy to come in there and just push them around, they're not gonna like that. They're not gonna race you the way you want to be raced.
Now, looking forward into the 2021 season, who knows what we're going to have with border restrictions and the pandemic and lockdowns and whatever else. But what's it going to take to get that trophy at a Truro and bring it back down to Dartmouth and to Porter's Lake and put it in your shop?
Well, I'd say I have to beat Dylan, beat Cole. You know, they're two top names that both won it. Craig Slomway, he has a new car this year, so it'll be, you know, have to beat him too with Fury. But consistency is a big one you got to do, and I can struggle with that. Another thing, just to get a win would be I'd be happy with, and my I got to figure out how to do the finish part of the race. I can do the 140 laps if it's a 150 lap race, or I can do the 190 laps if it's a 200 lap race. But the last 10 laps, I just seem to forget about them and lose it right there.
You mentioned some of those big names, and the big names that are on that big trophy at the end of the year. Your John Flemings, your Wayne Smiths, your Sean Tuckers, your Rolly McDonalds, Donald Chisholms, Sean Turple. What would it mean to add your name to that list? Your brother's on there too, obviously, but what would it mean to add your name to that list of champions that has won that part, or the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour over the last 20 years?
It would mean a lot. To look back when I started racing when I was 8 years old. I started then, and just I remember going and watching John Fleming and Joe Logano and Craig Slomway winning the 250s. Fleming winning the IWK and Slomway winning the Cat 250. I remember watching that, and to be able to have my name on that, knowing that I raced against all those guys that were so successful, would be pretty big. Then another thing, just to say you finally, I'd say one of the things where you finally succeeded almost.
There's been some names you've raced with coming up the ranks, obviously being a part of that first Bandolero class back in the mid 2000s at Scotia Speed World, and then working up through legend cars and getting to race with some of those drivers. Is there a driver that might not necessarily be on the Pro Stock Tour or might have moved on that you wish you could have raced against or went door handle to door handle with a little bit more?
I think hard to say. I guess you could say that you could race with John Fleming when he was out there winning. I guess it'd be kind of cool. I could see up and coming one. Say below me, not would be Braden Langell probably. He'd be one of them that I think could I'll be racing with in the future, and I hope to see that.
We've got a couple of more minutes left with Jarrett Butcher. We are live and interactive. I start to see social media light up a little bit, Dylan. What do you got over there?
Yeah, it's getting busy here finally. You see Dave Vick. This must be an inside thing. How do you hear your spotter when racing? No. How do you maintain concentration when racing a car? The spotter. I want to hear the spotter thing. There must be something we don't know about. David Baker asks, how do you hear your spotter when racing a race car? Who's your spotter? I don't know who your spotter is.
Kirk Alexander's my spotter. I'd say sometimes sometimes I'm a good listener and sometimes I'm not. I would have to say.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that, definitely. There's a lot of times I don't listen, and I should listen. Sometimes I tear a fender off when I shouldn't. Worst wreck. I guess the worst wreck. It's not something we want to talk about, but I guess I remember there was one, probably at Petty, wasn't it? That was a bad one.
Oh, I would say the worst wreck as far as car. It's a toss up. I guess I get two of them. One was probably two or three of them. I don't know. One was petty. That one really sucked. The wreck of a good race car for no reason. Partially my fault. And then the other one would be I don't. I guess the one that hurt the most would have probably been in Florida. Like my last year in Florida, I had a brand new Legend car down there, and I wrecked the first race of the week with like 5 to go, and I'd say that one hurt the most. Slapped outside wall, but between those two, I would say would probably be the worst ones.
Oh, this is the question I need to ask too. I always notice you wear a certain hat at the racetrack, like you're going to the beach or something. Barbara, she asks,
Going fishing.
Where's your fancy hat at?
It's sitting right, waiting for race season. It's a fishing hat.
Oh, nice. Oh, fishing hat. Okay, no, that makes sense. I got a question too. When I know as a race car driver, I know we hate talking about wrecking vehicles, but I guess I grew up, in a junkyard, so I was driving a lot of old vehicles, and I used to wreck a lot of stuff on the road and on back roads, and I remember calling my father and telling him to come get the tow truck because I was down over a bank or into a tree. But what do you have any stories about having to call Darren saying, Dad, I got the truck smashed or trailer, or I guess you drive for, I mean, probably a lot of the times on the road too. I know I went back in the day, I used to drive a tow truck, and I get a lot of stories too. I never told my father this, so I don't want to tell too much, but I tore up a lot of stuff driving the tow truck too.
No, I mean for the most part, I can't say I have anyone really of major wrecks or tearing anything up when I drive. But I know Cole, he had one. He has a couple. I remember. I don't got any, so I might as well tell this. I might as well tell
Oh
one
God,
where
this
he
is
just
gonna be
drove
good.
it off the road. What was it? It was not this. It was last winter, not this winter, but the winter before. And I remember I was home, and he lives down in Hansport, and he lives like 5 minutes from the gas station, and he was going to get fuel for the generator, and it was like an ice storm. I wasn't there with him, but I just know from what I'm told, he was coming back, and I would say he was going pretty fast or wasn't paying attention, probably a combination of both. And I just remember I walked downstairs and said, "Mom said your brother went off the road." I said, "Oh yeah, so what happened?" Well, he went into the ditch. I said, "Is he fine?" Yeah. So then he literally just drove it straight off the road. I'd say he locked the brakes on and just held the wheel. But I remember I texted him as soon as I found out. I said, "Did you run out of talent?" He said yes. And then he texted me back. He said, I know, but he texted me back and he said the airbags, they go off like missiles. He said, but I dodged them.
Really? Holy jeez, you must have really wadded it up then.
Was that
a half ton? Was that a half-ton truck or?
Yeah, that was his half ton.
Oh God, I'll have to tell.
I think he rear-ended. Oh yeah.
I'll ask him about that one.
I don't got any, so I had to share his.
Yeah, no, that's funny. He's not gonna like that.
We'll do the final call on social. So if you have a question, comment, anything you want to throw at Jarrett, be sure to drop it now, and we'll get to it here in a few moments. We got Chase and Dan MacKay coming up here in just a few moments' time as well. Denver, what else do you got? Do you got anything else for Jarrett Butcher?
I want to throw a little bit of a question at you, Jared. So, or I guess maybe we'll talk about the your championships and the legends. You had back-to-back at Scotia 2015, 2016. And that was in a string of 5 consecutive Butcher championships. I believe Tim can correct me if I'm wrong, but Cole won in 12, 13, and 14 in the new one, and 15 and 16. So what did it mean to have a streak of 5 consecutive championships in that division, which is, a very competitive division?
It was pretty big. Like we had a streak going for a while, and we won the 5 at Scotia, and I think we both won a championship on the tour. I don't think he won 2 championships on tour, but he won on a tour, which was, it was pretty cool. The first year I went for full-time legend car race, and it was a little bit of pressure, to back that up, and then to go to the next year. And we always, joked a little bit. It was the year that I won the Legend Car Championship on the tour in Scotia, and Cole was en route to, or have a chance of winning the Pro Stock Tour Championship. So we were gonna have 3 championships that year, and I think that was the year he lost it to Sean by 1 point, maybe, or he lost it to Donald, maybe. I think it was the year he lost to Donald. I always tell him he screwed up. He screwed our year up.
So as someone who has won both in the same year, what's more difficult to win? The Scotia Speed World Track Championships in the Legend Division, or the Maritime League of Legends Tour Championship?
They're both pretty hard. I mean, you race more at Scotia, but you go to different tracks for the tour. So some people might benefit from going to other tracks. I would say they're both pretty hard. Maybe Scotia be a little bit harder because you race more, and sometimes they tend to have more cars there.
And I think that championship streak I think the next person to win that wasn't a Butcher at Scotia was Paul Goulden. So I think it brought him back a couple of years, because I think he was 50 or 51 when he won that championship after you guys. So I think it brought him back to make himself a little bit younger. So I think if that helps at all, it was a good storyline going into that season. Dylan, final thoughts on social. What are you seeing over there?
Tim, I see something about Tim. Tim's drinking.
I am. I think Derek asked what I'm drinking. It's Diet Coke.
He started racing. I think Jarrett started racing and said he was 8 years old in a bando.
It was 7 or 8, one of them.
7 or 8. That's a young start. I started. I think I started when I was 11 or 12. I believe. I think you started racing bandos before me, though. I think you were the first year they started, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was like 2006, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I started in 7. Jeez, it seems like it was yesterday.
It's 2021 now. It's been a few years.
Things were so much simpler then.
A lot.
I didn't even know what caster car was. I just got in the thing and steered it around.
That's the great thing about the bandos, right?
My last. I think it was my last year I raced bando, maybe my last year, one of them. We it would get beat up a little bit, but we just put blue duct tape on it and keep going to the racetrack. Yeah, we didn't worry about it as much now today. If we Dad's very picky. If we have, or me and Cole are too, if we have a scuff on the door and it's either getting revinyl or it's getting replaced, no duct tape.
Yeah, they definitely your guys' 2 race cars definitely look a lot better than usually halfway through the season than mine does. I'm more of a duct tape hammer guy.
As long as it goes fast, right? That's all that matters.
As long as it turns left.
As long as it turns left fast enough to get the checkered flag, right? That's all that matters.
You can't see a dent at 80 miles an hour.
You can't see duct tape. You can't see blue duct tape on a blue race car from the grandstands anyway, right?
That's right.
Anything else you got on there, Dylan, before we cut Jarrett loose for the night?
I'm dried up.
You're dry. I do see that
there might be like I said. I'm on one screen. I think I'm probably missing a few things here, guys, so I do apologize.
The car salesman can't multitask. Can you believe that, Jarrett?
Yeah, he's like to see how he sells cars.
I'm more of a write it down in my notebook than type it.
I do see over there that your parents are watching, so say hi to mom and dad.
Hi.
That was quick. You got some great sponsors, great marketing partners on your car. You mentioned the crew as well. Who makes it happen to get that race car to the racetrack every week?
I'd like to thank Mom, Dad, Matt, Cassie, Kirk, Greg, David, Pixie, Nancy, James, Eric, Joshua. I think that's it. And then my sponsors, Superior Foundations, Link to Load, Top Construction, Fossil Power Systems, Sammy Kaiser Automotive, Live in the Dream Fisheries, SRI Performance. I think that's Make a Wish.
I think you got most of them. This has been fun. Thank you for joining us here this evening, and get those bodies hung. Get Kirk to work his magic on those race cars and get them ready for the racetrack. And we'll see you whenever we get going racing, wherever and whenever that may be.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Hope everyone stays safe.
That's Jarrett Butcher, driver of the number 54 on the parts for East Coast International Pro Stock Tour. And we will get ready now to transition on to our next guests, the driver of the number 71 Bandolero and Legend and his crew chief, and the former driver. And it's going to be Chase MacKay and Dan MacKay. Boys, if you guys can hear us, can you turn the iPad around the other way so we can get the full picture for us? Oh, technology is great when it works. I think there we go. Turn that around the other way. I think we're trying to get audio on there too. Denver, don't you love live TV?
I love it.
Love it. You got us now?
Yeah.
There we go. Can you turn the iPad around so we can tilt that sideways so we can get the full picture in the box? There we go. We're showing the highlights now on the screen of you guys both racing at Scotia, albeit a little ways away from each other gear-wise. Dan, Chase, welcome to the show. How's the winter been so far? Obviously, it's been a little bit rough for us with being locked down and whatever else, but how's the winter been?
Doing pretty good. Not too bad. Wish we could get to the track, but it looks like we're going to be a little ways out yet.
So are the cars ready to go?
Cars have been ready since Christmas. Yeah. We're ready. We've just been waiting. We hope we were practicing this week, but looks like we might wait another month or so, but it looks good. Hopefully by July, something will turn around.
We're hoping to get racing. Chase, what is the plan for this year? Because I know you guys did some Bandolero racing, and then you kind of dabbled in that Legend car. What are you planning on for 2021?
Well, we were planning on getting a championship in the Bando this year before going full-time Legend, but now that their season is cut off, we'll probably have no championship or points. So I want to race more Bando this year and focus more on the Bando than the Legend over last year to get more practice for 2022 on maybe getting a championship.
How big has that transition been? Because we've seen it before. We just had Jarrett Butcher on the show. He moved from Bandolero to Legend. Our special guest co-host tonight, Dylan Blenkhorn, has done the same thing. How's the transition been for you going from a Bando to a Legend car?
Well, it's been kind of hard because it's a completely different car. It's front brakes, front suspension. It's all a bunch of different things that you try to drive a Legend car like you drive a Bando, but you can't. And then when you get back in the Bando, it's completely different. You drive the Bando differently.
Yeah, it's a different way to move up, and eventually, I guess the next step would be Pro Stock. So Dan, I want to start with you on your racing career. You kind of got this all started. So how did you get your start in stock car racing?
Well, back in Moosehead Premium Dry days, I don't know if you remember that track. I remember went and watched John Fleming race there one night, and we were having a few drinks in the stands, and he said, "You might want to buy yourself a race car." So within 2 weeks, we were out in a field in an old barn, and it happened to be Elaine Vance's old street stock. It's been sitting there for probably 4 or 5 years, covered in dust. And we rolled it out and put it on a flat deck trailer. And the following week, I was at the track in the street stock car.
So how did you get from a street stock into the Maritime Pro Stock Tour?
Well, we ran the street stock for that year. I think it was 90 or 2000, the end of 99, 2000 season. And street stock class was starting to die out. They were going to a metric chassis, and the car counts were really getting low at the end of the year. And John gave me the idea that it'd be time to jump to pro stock. So that was a pretty big jump. But kind of, now that I look back at it, I think it was too fast.
We are live and interactive here this evening with Dan and Chase MacKay. If you have a question, comment, be sure to drop it below, and we'll get our new social guy, Dylan Blenkhorn, on the case. Now, you ran pro stock up until the middle of the 2010s ish. Why did you transition out of the pro stock?
The reason for the pro stock demise was the amount of time and effort that goes into racing one of those cars and trying to be competitive. It's 30 to 40 hours a week. It's nights and days, and your weekends are gone. And Chase was coming to the age where 4 and 5 years old, and he wanted to spend some time. And I remember coming out in the garage, and it was camping was on the horizon, and there was other adventures that we wanted to do. And I just thought it was being selfish of me to spend all summer on my race car and my interest in what I want to do. So I just thought it was time to maybe hang up the hat, and Chase, when we come to age, we could get back into the sport.
Now, when the pro stock days were done, where did that car go? Because I have a feeling there's a connection here somewhere.
That car ended up with Dylan Blenkhorn. Him and Paul come down, I believe, and looked at it and wanted to buy it. And I wanted to sell everything. The only thing I didn't want to sell was the pit car, because I knew that someday there might be some interest in maybe Chase starting the race. And I'm glad to see it went to Dylan. He did more with the car than I ever did.
Dylan, you care to add to that?
No, that's I was waiting for it to come up, and it's pretty neat. Dan he got he started me in pro stock racing, and I remember I talked to my father and grandfather about getting a pro stock car, and we didn't know if we were gonna stay in Legends or maybe move to a sportsman car, because obviously I was 16, 17 years old. I can't flip the bill for a pro stock, and we obviously now we have a few good sponsors, but I remember they told me we're never gonna buy a pro stock, and if you want to race a pro stock, you better figure it out, or you're not racing. And I don't know if we caught wind, maybe if Dan was selling his stuff, but I remember we went down, and the first night we looked everything over, and I don't know if you guys remember what's Dan takes care of his stuff, okay? Like it was everything was brand new, and actually we still got the trailer. We still uses a lot of I still use his helmet. Actually, I bought Dan we even got his helmet. I still use his helmet that Dan used. So, but we went down the first night, and I could tell that Dan almost didn't want to sell it. I remember but you spend like you said, it's 30, 40 hours a week. You spend so much time with, I don't know about Dan, but I name my cars, so you grow pretty attached to them. You spend 30, 40 hours a week with them, and we looked everything over, and then him and Hud, and I remember Dan mentioned the pit card. Then we were, trying to negotiate over the pit card, and he wanted the pit card. And actually, I remember, it's funny because I remember one time we were looking at, because we went down a few different times, and Chase actually come out in the shop when he was probably only a few feet high at that time, but I remember him coming out in the shop, and we were looked everything over, and we made a deal, and pretty much bought everything, including the helmet. Hey, Dan, appreciate it, Dan. Getting me started in pro stock, but definitely, I don't know if I should thank you or be mad because it definitely takes up a lot of time, but it's definitely been a pretty neat journey. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you helping me getting me started in the pro stocks and series.
For sure, you've done a lot with it. You've come a long way.
Now we are live and interactive, and I see social media lighting up.
Questions here, Tim, regarding Chase. We're gonna see I guess this is simple. This is a nice simple one. What's your favorite thing about racing, Chase?
Just the part, just something to do in the summer, and something to hang with the family because my grandparents come to races and watch, and just having fun with friends, and the winning. That's especially one of the reasons you're happy at the racetrack. But even though you have a few bad nights, it's still fun.
Yeah, winning, that's my favorite part too. I guess regarding the winning, what was the most Carol asked, what was the most memorable race you had?
Probably the 660 race where I got the TCM championship.
Yeah, how did you win the race, or was it that's in Fredericton 660? They had a big band race there.
Yeah, well, I remember Colton Noble was leading. They got into a little tangle up at the front, and I was around 15 laps in. I was in third, and for the last 15 laps, I think it's 10 to 15 laps of the race, me and Nate Singer had a bit of a battle, and I ended up getting the win. And because of Colton getting into a little tangle, it's his points kind of get canceled out, and I got the championship for 2 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
I never raced a bando. I only raced a bando at Scotia, but going to Fredericton and a bando, geez, I heard they're going weren't they just as fast as the sportsmans or street stocks? I heard.
Yeah, pretty close to those, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since we've been there last. Almost a year and a few months.
That's pretty fast. What do you think about that, Dan? A little fast for my liking, isn't it?
Pretty incredible to watch these kids go around that track. They're only off the throttle for maybe a second or two. There was nothing like that around when I was their age.
Yeah. What else we got here? I guess back to the legend cars, Craig Rogers, and this is an interesting question too, because I was kind of out of the legend cars when the whole tire deal come up. Did Chase actually? Did you run? Did you get a chance to run Federals, or did you start right on Hoosiers?
Well, I practiced on Federals for the first year, and then the next year the Hoosiers came out, and I decided to race on them.
What do you find? Do you have a preference, or is there much of a difference?
Well, when I first practiced, the car wasn't really set up for me, so I never really got a feel for them. So I really kind of got used to the Hoosiers with my setup and me actually fitting in the car. So those are the ones I go by now, and the Federals I just never really got a feel for.
Yeah, it's definitely. I remember when my father and I were racing the legend cars, it seemed like if you didn't show up, you could have the best race car, but if your tires were not right that day, you could be running third or fourth. I found it was really hit and miss with those tires, and it just kind of got to the point where you almost needed a new set every weekend because they were cutting them pretty much to a slick. Okay, yeah. So this is a good question too. I guess Dan, for both Dan and Chase, who were your favorite competitors to race against?
You go first. Probably Colt Noble and Gage Gilbert. Gage really got me in the bando to catch up to him. His first season, he was winning, and I was kind of falling behind. But in our second year, we started working at it until we caught up to him. so I can thank him. And then Colton, he was a good car to go by to see how the day was going. Like if he was fast, we could go by that.
What about you, Dan?
I would say back in the day, I enjoyed racing with everybody. Didn't really get along with a lot of the guys. Like back when I raced, it was Wayne Smith, John Fleming, Scott Fraser, George Koskulik, Donald Chisholm was there. He was up and coming at that time. There was a lot of good cars. Mike McKenzie. Those guys were every week. And then you had the Island Boys, Greg Proud. There's lots of people that would come and go, but those were the guys that were the staple in the sport at the time. And I enjoyed going every week, and they always raced clean. And, not very often we got tore up real bad, but it was definitely a learning experience. Definitely too much of a jump for me back then, I would say. That a lot of talent in the sport. And a lot of those guys were building their own chassis and doing their own thing. And the sport's changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah, definitely. The definitely involved a hell of a lot.
Yes.
Still just as competitive.
For sure.
Here's an interesting question because I see you guys, I guess you guys grew up different than I guess I grew up watching my father race the same as Chase, and was around the racetrack at a young age. But my father wasn't as smart as you. He wanted to keep racing, so he didn't give it up until I guess he was busy with work, and the same as you, I guess, Dan. Just he got to a point where it was showing on the weekend. He couldn't put the time and effort in. So if he wasn't going to go and be competitive, he just wanted to kind of watch and help me. But how was that, Chase, growing up and watching your father? I'm sure you're at the racetrack a few times and in the shop, maybe watching him on the working on the race car. Because I remember when I was young, a lot of the times it depends. I think when it got dark out, they kind of shooed me out of the shop because they didn't want to see what was going on. But how was that growing up, watching your father race, Chase?
Well, it's hard to recall that because it was such a small period in my life, like where he stopped around 2012. I remember his last few races and hanging out in the shop. I remember the day you came and picked up the car, and I kind of was wondering, why is Dad selling this car? Why is it going out of the yard? Like, why is this guy coming to pick it up? I didn't really know what was going on because I kind of fun around it. Like, I have pictures of me trying to work on the car, kind of
right.
Yeah.
So what's it like now, Dan? I guess watching Chase, because I talk to my father quite a bit, and he's a pretty quiet guy though. He doesn't say much. He just kind of stands there and kind of lets me work on it and kind of do my thing. But how do you find watching Chase grow up? And he grew up really fast, like into a legend car at a very young age. And I remember we were at the gas station there probably a month ago talking, and I couldn't believe. I think when you told me it was Chase, it was 14 now. I think it was.
Just turned 13 and
13. Yeah, it was like just to me being around the racetrack, it seems like you've been in a legend car Chase now for 2 or 3, or a few years. And it's like I couldn't believe it because I didn't jump into a legend car till I was 15, 16.
Yeah, he he was really young. I remember the first time Chase went out, he goes, "Dad, I don't really know what to do here." I said, "Well, son, you go and you turn left." He went out at the end of the road and he turned left on oncoming traffic. So really, it was a close call. And Daryl Maher actually looked, he goes, "Your son's going the wrong way." Yeah. He was 8 years old at the time, but that was kind of my fault. I think I should have explained it a little more to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when my father, he got 2 Bandoleros he brought home from the States, and I remember before we went to the racetrack, we set up 4 pylons in a big parking lot, and I kind of got the gist of it then. But yeah, 8 years old, and I think I remember, was it, did you guys get, was it Braden's, was it Braden Langel's car?
Yeah, that was Braden Langel's car. It was a Christmas present, and it was probably Chase was, I think, 6 or 7. And I talked to Craig and I said, when you're ready to part with that car, I said, that would be a car I'd be interested in. And we never spoke for probably a year after that. And then one day Craig called and said that Braden's ready to make the jump. And I think he could still race, but he was going to move on to the Legend totally. And I backed the trailer up, and there must have been a trailer full of parts, motors, tires, rims, bumpers, just spare everything. That was his last hurrah, and Chase bought the car and we painted it up, and he got it for Christmas that year before he started.
It's kind of the same deal I got. Just back up and you load the trailer full of parts, and that's because you know yourself, when you got to buy everything individually, that's when racing gets expensive.
That's right. That's the way to get it, is when someone's on their way out. And, you know,
Chase, did you get the helmet too, like I did, or?
No, I did not.
I think Dan, I think you even left. I don't even think you cleaned it out. I think you even left your driving suit in there.
Yeah.
But if you ever want Chase, if you can ever convince him to get back in a race car, I bet you the driving suit's still hanging up in the closet where he left it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan? Is that see that ever coming? Can you picture racing against Chase? Or
I'd say Chase is faster than me now. I don't know if I could run one of those bandos. I get in it one day and then around the track at Scotia, we were practicing, and my God, I'm telling you, it's impressive how fast those kids can go in them. With no suspension and no brakes, but they really do once you get them up to speed, they're quite a fun car to watch.
Well, I couldn't, like I said, at 660, I heard like 70, 80 miles an hour in a Bandolero car. That's a lot different from Scotia Speed World. And we were like, the place was, I mean, they're going. I remember when we broke the 18-second mark, and I think you guys, what would you guys be turning at Scotia now?
15 nines and then high 15 eights. And
oh God.
Yeah, Chase even had the opportunity. Donald and George invited him up a couple years ago to test at Antigonish in a Bando car with Emily, and that was quite a neat thing to watch him go around there.
Holy, what gear? Well, you'd have to change the gear ratio a little bit, wouldn't you?
We definitely missed the mark there. It was chipping right at the flag stand. It would almost be, if there was a way to slow them down, it would be fun to have them there, but it would just be unlimited. As fast as you could get them to go, they just would never stop.
No, it'd be like Daytona for Bandoleros. I think I always wanted to do that. But I guess talk about different racetracks. I saw a question earlier. What's your favorite racetrack, Chase?
Probably 660 or Petty.
Really? But just the speed factor?
Yeah, speed and just the banking.
Yeah, I wish I had the opportunity to race to run a bando there.
Now, Dylan, I do see one question on here that's already been answered by somebody that's not on the show. So we'll throw this at you. Wendell Dempsey wants to know, Dan, are you buying a new Pro Stock car? Keep in mind, this question has already been answered, but are you buying a new Pro Stock car anytime soon?
I would say when the time comes, I don't want to take it from Chase, kind of like the mistake that I made. I want Chase to come up through the ranks. And, the bando, unfortunately, in the times that we live in now, is determined by when you're 16, you're done. So I don't want him to jump to legend before that time comes. I want him to have his fun. And, you can run a legend car to we talked about earlier with Paul Goulin in the 50s, you can still run a legend car. So there's lots of time, but if the opportunity presents itself and Chase puts in the time and effort, now is the time when he can start to work more on the car and learn setups, and he's not 8 years old anymore. So, in due time, I would say if Chase wants to race a Pro Stock, we'll probably see a car in the field at some point.
So that begs my question, Chase, how much do you have to change your mother's mind? Because Denise apparently has different ideas.
That's a thing to do. Change her mind. It's hard to change her mind sometimes on a few things.
She's off camera, I'm sure. The Mike Stevens Memorial. You talked about 660 winning that race. You won the Mike Stevens Memorial as well in the beginner days. How big was that win at Petty International Raceway?
Well, that was my first win, so that was a big win as well. Just the 660 one, that was kind of more of a, I felt, well, back then I thought it was kind of like a championship. It was cool to win that type deal. But the Mike Stevens, that was my first win, so I'll always remember that one.
Obviously, Scotia Speed World is your home racetrack. You've won a couple of races there. Now, what do you remember about the first win in Halifax?
That was, I remember watching the video after the race and seeing how close Aiden was to coming up the side of me on the inside and passing me into the next turn. Because I was more focused on winning than I was on the cars around me. So I kind of, that's something I'll remember. Almost losing the race, there was another lap. That's something just, I will never forget.
Now, I want to ask about the paint scheme on the race car because we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. It looks strikingly similar to the Pro Stock that your father ran. What was the process behind picking your paint scheme?
Well, my first ever paint scheme was based off of the Pro Stock. It was definitely exactly like the Pro Stock, same sponsors and everything, until it became race day when we had to take those off because they weren't actually sponsoring me. But then after my second year, we decided to go with something a bit different. And that's when we came up with that design that we've had for the last 3 years.
And it's a sharp looking paint scheme. It's different than it's like we had the conversation with Craig Sonwhite. It's different than the black base and the white base where it's yellow. You can actually see it on the racetrack. So it's easy to pick out when you're watching from the grandstands. We're live and interactive with Dan and Chase MacKay. If you have a question or a comment, be sure to drop it below and we'll get it on the air here this evening. Denver, what do you have over there? Because I know you got to see Chase race last year in Miramichi when we hit the blast off.
Absolutely. So let's start there, Chase. You got to make the trip up to Speedway Miramichi last August. What did you think of the track and that whole event?
Well, the track was definitely different from any other track around here. It reminded me of 660, but not really at the same time. It was fast. I don't really know how to put it. It was different to me. It wasn't like Scotia. It wasn't like Petty, not nearly as banked, but it was more banked than Scotia. So it kind of took me probably that whole practice session the day before the race to get my head wrapped around the whole track to get it figured out and which tires to run, the INX tires, the new Hoosiers. Like after watching Danny Chisholm run the Hoosiers, I found that, okay, let's start running them. Let's see. And then that's where we decided to run the Hoosiers and see what we could do on the track.
I think there was one moment, and I don't know if Tim has this in the video or not, but in the second feature when you and Danny kind of came together, and I remember watching that thinking that we were going to have a caution. I don't know how you guys saved it, but what do you remember from that moment in that race?
I just remember touching wheels with Danny and Danny coming across my hood, and then him straightening it out, and we keep going, but I think it cut his tire down is what I remember. Probably 6 laps later, he stopped on the turn 1 and 2.
And that was certainly, I don't know how both of you saved that. That was wild. But you went on, had a good run in that race. Obviously, Tanton was the car to beat that day. But, looking ahead 2021, if borders and stuff open, what's your goal in terms of traveling and what tracks would you like to hit? Are you going to try to maybe hit every track and mix things up a little bit?
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do.
So any opportunity, if it ever came up, would you head down stateside? I know we have a lot of drivers go down there. Is that ever going to be in the cards for the 71 team?
Yeah, we were actually supposed to go down to Texas last year before COVID. It was probably a few days before. It was when they shut down the borders and we weren't allowed to leave our house, really. And we had to cancel all our Texas plans, and we were going down there with a few other drivers from around here and going to have fun, but I guess that got changed. And
you have a little bit of experience from up here in running, those 4 or 5 day shows when with the bumper to bumper summer shootout at Petty Raceway in 2019. How did that whole event fare for you?
Well, that event was definitely a challenge. 4 days of racing. Then we had the legend car there, which Colton Noble ran the last day. And for the first 3 days, it took a while, but then on the last day, I picked pole and led the whole race and won it, which was a big surprise, my first win of the 2019 season.
Now, Dan, I'll put you a little bit on the spot here. You talked about racing and getting into a bando and trying to do some laps and trying to be as fast as Chase. We saw Daryl and Owen get together, run legend cars in Sydney against each other this year. Would there ever be an opportunity that you find yourself in a legend car maybe down the road and get to race with Chase?
I don't think so. Those legend cars, they're a handful. I think they're fun. They're a neat car. I just have a hard time getting comfortable in them. I find when you can put your hands on both sides of the windows, it's a different feeling from where I'm used to into the late models cars.
So I guess that answers my question, Chase. If you and your father were to do a race, who would win? I guess that answers the question, right? There's no contest.
Yeah.
We are live and interactive here. Got a few more minutes left. Dylan, what do you got over there on social? You got anything cropping up?
It slowed up a little bit, guys. Again, I have things popping up on my screen, trying to switch screens, take screens away. I don't know. I got two screens here. I can switch them back and forth. I just haven't figured it out yet. And now I got a blank screen. So we've had a little bit of everything over here.
You try to teach an old dog new tricks and it doesn't work, right? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah. It's we'll figure it out though.
Yeah. Denver kind of mentioned it, but Chase, what are you most looking forward to coming up this year? Obviously, with the pandemic, we're kind of stuck in place. We can't really do anything right now, but we can always look forward. What are you most looking forward to in 2021 when we get this thing going and we get to racing?
Well, I'm planning on getting another 660 championship. That was my goal for last year, but we're running the Legend and the Bando, and as I said earlier, it's kind of hard to go between the two cars because they're completely different. So that kind of messed me up. So this year we're going to go back to 660 and try our best to get a championship with just the Bando.
There you go. Dan, what's it like crew chiefing Chase? Because I know you've been in a race car yourself, and we talked to some of the guys that says it's easier to drive the race car than to watch it go around the racetrack. What's it like for you watching the Bando and the Legend go around the racetrack?
I enjoy helping Chase more than racing myself. I find it's fun and challenging to, watch him. You want him to do as best as he can, and you give him the best piece he can every week. And when the green flag drops, it's all up to him. And there's no radios. You can't scream and yell at them and say what you want. So that's when it's all up to him. There's nothing else you can really do. You get him to the track and give him the best piece that he can, and hope for the best. And I enjoy helping him. That's the whole point of being around the racetrack now. It's more fun and it's more social for me, and I can spend time with Denise, and it's a family thing now. We camp at the tracks, and we follow them around, go to PEI, and we'll stay at the campground and make a weekend of it. Where before it was driving until 3 and 4 in the morning to get home. And, now it's more of a family event, which I think makes it more fun.
We're showing some highlights on the screen from 2011. I want to thank you for those, by the way. We had those on some of the old footage. But what's your biggest takeaway from your days racing the Maritime Pro Stock Tour? Is there anything that you maybe wanted to check off the bucket list that you didn't get to do racetrack wise? What are your biggest takeaways from racing on the tour?
I really enjoyed them all. I liked all the tracks. We did some racing in the States, which was back in the IPSC days. And I remember when we first started, we were starting a field of 30 plus cars in Ben Row. And I think there was 5 or 6 cars from the state side battling against the Canadians. And it was pretty impressive. And I remember going home quite a few races, like down in White Mountains. If we didn't qualify, 40 plus cars, they sent you home. So you really had a fight to get into those races back then. So it was kind of neat. I'd like to see that come back a little more. And on the big races, you'll see lots of cars, but it'd be neat to see a lot of the Americans come up and race and have a shot at it with us.
Took a look through social media. Carol wants to know, hey, Chase, what is the biggest piece of advice your dad has shared with you, racing or otherwise?
Well, biggest piece of advice is always stay confident in the car and just take your time. Don't try to win the race on the first lap. type deal, because then you'll end up either spinning out, wrecking. You want to save your car enough, but we're at Scotia, you kind of got to move fast, but still calmly through the field because you don't got much time. But Scotia can cause wrecks easily with those turns being so flat and so narrow.
Now, there's another one on social, and I'll preface this with this. Sean has a couple of youngsters coming up and racing in Bandoleros. The shoe may be on the other foot at some point, but he asks, Chase, do you ever remind Dad who has more feature wins?
Actually, I have done that a few times.
Yes, he is. He reminds me all the time.
The trophies just keep on appearing, right? There's no way to stop them.
Yes.
We got a couple of more minutes left here. Drop a question, drop a comment if you're on Facebook, and we'll get to it here. Denver, what else do you got? I see your wheels turning over there.
All right. Well, Chase, I want to kind of talk about that 2019 season a little more because at Scotia Speed World, you ended up, I believe, second in points. Take us back to that battle because you weren't far away from that championship.
That was, I think, 6 or 7 points, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even 10 points away. So it was me and Gage, and he won probably the first half of the season. Like, he was really strong. And then close to the end, I remember winning 1, then going to the track, wrecking, 3 to go, coming back and winning the rest of the season, and then checking my points at the end of the season and seeing that I was 6 or 7 points off. I kind of felt accomplished getting back up to second place and almost back to first just by the end of the season.
And I believe that year, too, you were also second in points at Petty Raceway, maybe to one of the Noble boys, I believe.
Yeah, Colton and Noble. Yeah.
So that would have been another close battle, but, second in both Petty, second at both Scotia. So obviously you said the championship's your goal, and hopefully you get to the track and compete for a championship this year. But that would, obviously borders and stuff depending. But Dan, I want to throw a question at you. I don't know, Tim might not be happy with this one, but I from my understanding, and I'm a little young, so I wasn't around back in these days, but you kind of took part in off the track with the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, doing some staff work and whatnot.
Yeah, I drove a pace car for a season. I can't remember what year it was now, 06 or 07, and we had an incident in PEI. I don't know if that's the one I'm talking about or not, but I got wrecked in a pace car, if you can believe that. And I can't remember. I think it was Miller. I can't remember. It wasn't Pete Miller, but there was another Miller that raced at the time. He kind of got into an altercation, and when he come off the track, got airborne and went actually through the guardrail and destroyed the pace car. It was actually rode off. It was one of the back then Ford's. Jim Hallahan, one of those deals, and they had to take the car home in a trailer. It was that bad.
Kind of a Days of Thunder moment on the Pro Stock Tour.
That was 2010, and the only reason I remember that is because me, Ralph, and Marty drove over to PEI in the pace car that day, and we had no ride to go home. So I ended up going back with Ron Clark. I think Ralph might have went back with Ernie Ledwidge. I don't know where Marty ended up going that night, but I think that was 2010 because I was in the tower when that flash of blue went off the racetrack, and we had thought it had gone into the campground. We didn't think it went into the pace car, and then you brought it out on the racetrack, and it didn't look good.
The guardrail landed on the hood, and right across the windshield was destroyed in the car.
We had a string of pace cars because I think the year before we blew a motor in the pace car too. So I think that it wasn't just that year. There was a string right there of really bad luck.
Right. Yeah.
Denver, do you got anything else that we can bring up?
I see it on Facebook here, Tim. I just had it up. Tegan has the question for Dan and Chase. I mean, Dan, you had the wreck in the pace car. Was there any other wrecks on the track when you were actually driving a race car that stand out?
I remember once in Andy Kanish, we got wrecked in practice. And it was I think it was the last race for the points championship, and it was a real tight battle between John and Wayne Smith. And I remember in practice, I went to go low, and I don't know how it happened, but I got turned into the inside wall. And this was before Annie Kanish was renovated, I believe. Or no, it was after the renovation. So we were moving along there, and I remember I hit the inside wall pretty hard. But other than that, nothing too crazy, like the odd bump and bang, here and there. But I think we've only had to clip the car once.
What about you, Chase? Anything that stands out?
Well, probably flipping the car at Scotia, going over the curb and flipping the car, that was memorable. All the other ones were kind of the same, and the outside walls, nothing really different. But flipping the car, I remember that night trying to fix it, coming out and finishing third. I think it was like 9 or 10, and Tim interviewing me, and I didn't really know what to say about it because it happened so quick.
So in a wreck like that, how does Mom react to the car flipping at Scotia?
Well, it's more the grandmother. If you look at the video, you hear her screaming in the background, and I pretty much recall, you probably hear it from the grandstands.
Because there was a wreck in 19 too, wasn't there? That big one that we had on the front straightaway that took out every single car, and we didn't know who won the race.
Yeah, there was that one, but
I think they're still trying to calculate who won that race. It's been a couple of years. I still think they're trying to figure out who won that one. Dylan, what do you got on social? I see there's starting more to light up there now.
Well, my screen is still. I don't have a screen still.
I had a screen blow up on us a couple of weeks ago when we were interviewing Laura Cormier, so I know where you are. We've been down that road.
So I'm trying to, get off this Zoom thing and then get on the Facebook and then stay on the Zoom. It's pretty interesting. But when I guess the rollover chase, because I've never rolled over. Knock on wood, I'm not getting on my desk here, so I don't want this to happen. But when I haven't heard, I want to go back to the pace car too, because that's the first time I heard about that story. But the rollover in did you end up on the roof, or did you end up on all fours, Chase?
All fours.
No, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You were good to go. Did all the wheels stay pointed half straight, or?
I don't really remember. It was 2017, so my second year, so it's kind of hard to recall that. But I bet if I look back at the video, you can just see. I remember, I think the front spindle was broken, so the wheel was kind of messed up. So I couldn't drive off the track. But every time I see my Uncle Tom, he always says, "No, you should have done. You should have started the car back up. You kept going." He said the crowd would have went wild. I said, "Well, I was 9 or 10. I didn't really think of that."
Yeah. Yeah, that's not something you think about, eh?
No.
Hey, Dan, so back to this pace car thing, because I never heard this story before, and I'm surprised I haven't. But were you in, like, when the car went over, I don't know, but it sounds like the car went over the guardrail or over the banking. Were you in the pace car when it hit, or?
I was in the pace car, and it's like slow motion. The car was coming backwards at me, and I just reached for the gear shift because the car was running. They just took the green, so I backed up where you would come off, and this was in PEI, so I was kind of parked behind the guardrail. I think part of it is still there, where you go up off onto the track, so you can't really see all the cars because you're down over the banking, but I seen the car coming at me, but just as I grabbed the shifter, it went through the guardrail and hit me right in the fender in the driver's door, but the guardrail kind of flew up over the hood.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story, and every time I go to PI, I look at the guardrail and I always see one part's old and one part is new. So that always reminds me onto the track.
That's funny. Craig Rogers asked, "Did any of those wrecks take the wax off the car?" That's funny because when I got your stuff, Dan, everything, there was probably half-inch of wax on even I don't know, I got a few tools, and I think there was half-inch of wax on the tools even.
That's what everybody makes fun of me, but I always say when you go over a car and clean them, that's when you'll find something loose or bent or broken. If you tell someone to just go look at the car, nothing really happens. It doesn't get taken care of most times. So that's my way of going over a car. It's just going through it and cleaning it, and that's when you'll find stuff.
That's definitely a true story there. I know there's a few times I wish we would have probably maybe spent more time cleaning the car, because I got a few races that we were leading actually, and a part broke or something, falls off, or but anyway, I don't like talking about you can't get those ones back.
Right, they bite you.
Shops races are won in the shop. I'm a big believer in that. I think you guys are too.
That's true.
I see one more from social over there, and Caden Tufts wants to know if, Chase, you remember a head-on collision with him.
Head-on collision.
That's what he says.
I don't remember any head-on collisions.
Maybe spun out and you guys were up together.
Maybe, because I don't really remember it.
So his definition is different than yours.
Yeah, I don't really recall a head-on collision.
I'm sure we'll get another comment down there. Craig Rogers says best looking race cars out there, and I agree. They're really sharp every time they come to the racetrack. We'll do the final call on social. If you're out there, you want to give a question, a comment to Dan and Chase, be sure to drop it below. And with this, you talk about the future, obviously. Chase, what do you see in your future coming up? We talked earlier about a pro stock and whatever else, but where do you see your career progressing race car wise here in the next 5-10 years?
5 to 10 years, I hope to get into a pro stock and try to compete, try to get a few wins in the pro stock. But right now, I want to take it slow, get a championship in the Bando, get a championship in the Legends, and then go to pro stock and worry about that, which will take a few years.
So I guess the next question is, and we just had Jarrett Butcher on, we have Dylan on here, Nicholas Noggle was on here last week. What does it mean to see those drivers kind of follow the same path that you have, starting in Bandos, moving to Legends and into pro stock and having success at each level? What does it mean to see those drivers come through the ranks and have success at every level?
Well, it's pretty cool to see how some kids can move up through the levels quick. Like you look at Gage Gilby, he went up quick, where I kind of took it slow. I still haven't got a championship. Gage got a championship his first year. But it's kids like that who help you, really. Like you're a legend car, you can't seem to get wins, but then that one kid comes who's fast, and you can follow behind him and try to get faster than him, then he can get a championship, you can, type deal, like just by following him.
Now, all these other drivers we just talked about, these kids that have moved on to pro stocks, the one thing that it seems like the common theme is, we wish we had a Young Lions division at Scotia Speed World when we started. What happened last year? We had a Young Lions division. How cool was that to be a part of that first class?
That was pretty cool. It was definitely a learning experience to race with other cars with the Legend and not have to go down to the States to do that.
And moving into that Young Lions division, it was supposed to be a standalone division, but at the pandemic and everything else, the car count was 4 or 5, and eventually they moved you guys into the main class with the masters and the semi pros and what have you. Was there any name you looked at, kind of thinking, hey, it's kind of cool, I get to share a racetrack with those guys?
Probably Mahar, Colton Noble again, because those were two people who I liked racing with Bando. And Braden, like racing on the track with Braden, that was also pretty cool. It's been since 2017 since I was actually at the track, like in a Bando with Braden. I think that was his last 2 races racing a Bando. It's back in 2017.
Dan, we've chatted before about the Young Lions division and it finally happening. How relieving is it to finally see that? Because I know you're one of the ones that had kind of said, hey, this is something we need to do.
Yeah, I think it's good to have kids, kids race with kids, and even kids, if they're ready, race with, older people and grown-ups. And I know some people might disagree and, say that the kids shouldn't be racing with them and it's, stinking up the show. But it's like everybody. There's slow cars, there's fast cars. You have to get around them. And these kids, they're talented. They're not just, their parents bought them a Legend car and they decided to go race with, grown-ups. They've been racing in some cases longer than I have, and 4 and 5 years in a bandolier, they got a lot of laps on. So, I do agree that it's a good thing for the Young Lions. We're going to support it. Are we going to run a full season? probably not, but we're, definitely want to run and, get our feet wet and support the class, and hopefully it'll grow from there. I heard that there's several other legend cars coming this year. If we get back to racing, there's some huge legend car rumors of other kids that are Bando kids coming too now.
Now, you kind of mentioned, Chase, those drivers like Braden Langell that have been around and raced legend cars a couple of times, but you got some older guys that you're racing with now, guys like Tyler Haas and Paul Goulden still moonlights in the division. Andrew Lively has moved on to sportsman, but he's raced in that division. Jeff Cruikshank, you haven't raced, I don't think, with Cy Harvey yet, but I think he's still got a couple of legend cars. What have you learned so far from those older guys that you can take forward in your legend car career?
Well, a few of them, I was able to keep up with the pack a little bit, so it shows that, I don't know how to put this, but there's not much difference between kids racing or adults racing, slow cars, fast cars, like he mentioned, and it's cool to race with those guys too, who's been around for a few years. Then you look at Braden Langell, he just comes into the mix and he started winning everything last year, or the year before, I should say, and they're kind of in the middle now, kind of like he was with the pro stock a little bit.
Just another car on a racetrack, right?
Yeah.
Now, looking forward, obviously you moved from the Bandolero, still in the Bandolero, and you're one of those big names now in that Bandolero division that's had a couple of seasons in. If there's somebody out there that, might be watching saying, I want to get into a Bandolero, what kind of advice can you give a young kid just getting started in the Bandolero division?
Take your time. Don't rush it. Don't think that in your third year you're going to go to legend cars, because trust me, that's more difficult than Bando. You think Bando's difficult? You go to legend, that's even more difficult. It took me 4 years to get a win. Gage Gilby, it took him a year, but he had that talent, he had that spark. But if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have tried as hard, and I wouldn't have got that win as quick. Just take your time.
I think that's some great advice, and we see that all too often, where some drivers try to bite off a little more than they can chew, I guess, in the first couple of years, and they have that, I guess, discouragement. What do you have on social here, Dylan? Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, I got it up and running now. One screen is still blue. Actually, it was black. Now it's blue.
That's not a good combination of colors.
It's up and running. We're not going to worry about that one. Just Craig Rogers on there. You guys are always a class act. Hoping all the best and for next year and hoping for the championship. I guess Kate, it was a heat race, 3 and 4, 2017 season. There was a head-on collision there. Craig Rogers, he's on there a lot. Best looking cars out there. I don't know. I only got one screen, Tim. You might be able to see more than me.
I think you've got it pretty well taken care of. Not too bad for your first night, by the way, on social. You did fairly well tonight. Your job's not done yet, but you're doing fairly well.
I do appreciate it. I don't know if maybe my video. Did you turn that off, or did I turn it off? Because I can't get it to work.
I think we're still on and going. So that might be on your end, but we're getting ready to wrap this one up. Denver, final thoughts. What do you got? What's going through your mind?
Well, final thoughts. Well, thank you to Dan and Chase for coming on tonight. Obviously, it was a pleasure to watch Chase race last year, and not just in Miramichi. I've watched Chase race everywhere, and like everyone else has said all night, best looking cars out there. It's instantly recognizable, and the effort that goes into the cars definitely shows in the results. And we had Dylan and Jarrett on here earlier saying about how races are won in the shop, and you guys certainly proved that. But really looking forward. Hopefully, we get to see some open borders and lots of racing to come as the year progresses.
Sure, we'll be back.
Now, I know Paul has some extra B-roll, but before we get into the sponsors and everything else that's on the race car, I was going through social a little bit earlier on today, and I found a picture from, I think it was one of your first test sessions back in 2016 before the season started. We'll get Paul to pop that up on the screen. It takes a team and it takes a family to do this. Chase, who's on your team? Who's turning the wrenches, and who do you want to thank for family that helps you and is cheering you on every single week?
Well, definitely my father, Dan, and my grandparents are a big supporter, like cheering me on. And Dean Wallage is another guy who definitely helps with my welding and setting up the car. And he's always at the track. Same with Jen Wallage; she's always there cheering me on. And Greg from Truro, who builds my motors and helps us with the car a lot.
Now, obviously, Dean has a brother that's won a couple of sportsman championships at Scotia. What kind of advice has he given you for a driver wise to help get that car around the racetrack?
Well, he's definitely helping us. He's always telling me stuff that Darren has done with mistakes and what me not to do, and what Darren has done right and telling me to try. It's different from a sportsman to a bando, but some stuff that he does tell me that to try, it works out. Like driving deeper in the turn. Some tracks, like Petty, maybe with the legend car, that doesn't work out too well. But some with the bando, it does. He is a big help for the last few years.
You mentioned the family. Who's on the race car sponsor-wise that helps make this happen every single week?
Well, AEL Electronics, that's my biggest sponsor for this year. Lay's Landscaping, Xander Signs, the Excel Property Services, Colquitt Mountain Sports, Pudgy Tires, Steve's Property Services. That's a new one this year. And pretty sure something. So, yeah, Xander Signs, who decals my car and makes them look their best. He's the one that actually helped design our car.
So I guess the last question is, what are you guys doing to pass the time now during the pandemic? We can't really do a whole lot, can't go out, can't travel anywhere. What are you guys doing to pass the time to get us looking forward to going to a racetrack again?
Well, we're still driving motorized vehicles. We're driving four-wheelers, and we're driving skidoos over the winter, just around Truro area, and some Cape Breton when we were allowed. And now we're getting some Sea-Doos to drive around the water during the summer to just pass the time till racing starts.
I guess that's the easiest way to do it. Dan, final thoughts? What are you most looking forward to in this season once we get going?
Well, I miss everybody at the track. It's nice to see Dylan there at the gas station there a couple weeks ago, and I enjoy when the pro stocks do come to an event and we're having a double hitter to see all the old guys from way back, and we don't really get to see them throughout the winter, but definitely miss the guys at the track, everybody, yourself included.
Yeah, this has been fun catching up. Looking forward to getting back to the racetrack whenever we can, and you guys stay safe, and hopefully it is sooner rather than later. This has been fun. Thanks, guys.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us on the interview.
See you soon.
Yeah.
See you soon. This has been fun. We want to thank all of our marketing partners that help us put on the Tim's Corner side of things. And Denver, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, we got some newer partners in LJ Designs coming on, and J. Cole Trucking. And I want to send a special thanks out to Chris Wilson, who has kind of helped us out as well the last week or so. And for those that don't know, the T-shirts are in. We mentioned that last week. T-shirts, sweaters, they're in. It's just a matter of trying to find a way to get them to racetracks and get them shipped, because it's not easy to do that either. So I want a big thank you to LJ Designs, and a special thank you to Justin Cole, Gerald Greenlaw, and Chris Wilson for kind of getting them to us. Dylan, this has been fun. Thank you for joining us. I know Dylan Langell had to take Dewey to the vet, so that's why he's not here. We didn't mention that off the top of the show, but this has been fun. Not bad for your first time on social.
Yeah, I mean, big shoes to fill. It was it's neat to get back in the swing of things. As kind of almost you could say I took a year off last year.
Technology. There you go.
There we go. I got a phone call. No, took a year off last year, so I'm just trying to get back in the swing of things. Like I said, it's neat getting to talk to everyone again, and just kind of gotten excited about working on race cars again, and then this whole thing happened. But I'm pretty confident we'll get a few races in, and and I'll get to see everyone at the racetrack. And I miss the most probably just in the shop working on race cars, and because that's like Dan said, that's probably 90% of it, just working on the race car and then making sure it's going to be good and turn left and go fast. So that's a lot of it, and we'll get working on the car and hopefully get testing soon and getting and seeing everyone at the racetrack.
Now, Denver, we have on our screen the changes to the schedule already with COVID, and I haven't talked to Brent and Shauna and Max at 660 yet. The writing, I'm assuming, has to be on the wall about that pro stock race to do something, whether it becomes a local race or something changing with the borders. But that's their announcement to make. Once we do know what's going on, we will let you know. But next week, I guess we're previewing at least Speedway Miramichi for their season opener, because it's coming up.
It is coming up, Tim. And I mean, obviously we saw how fast things can change. Hopefully there's nothing big change, and, at least have some sort of racing, and hopefully our plans and technology work out that for those that are in lockdown or out of the province of New Brunswick, they can at least maybe watch some live racing from the maritime provinces with our show in Miramichi. But great to have Jared, Chase, and Dan on site, and Dylan did a phenomenal job. Absolutely great job. And Tim, the shirts, they look awesome. LJ killed it. And I'm surprised we made it through the whole show, though, without you talking about the mustard.
Yeah, right. I actually haven't got into the Ray's mustard yet. Didn't get the sandwich that I was going to have yesterday. So we're still working on that. But thank you to Gerald Greenlaw and Ray's Mustard. Go check them out if you haven't already. Great group, great folks. But yeah, it's you see LJ's logo on the screen. We'll get more T-shirt information when we get going here. But that's going to do it for us here this evening. It's Throwback Weekend, so if you're at home in lockdown, watch Darlington. I know Brett Suggs was watching earlier. The Southeast Super Trucks are racing on Pit Road TV. The Cars Tour is racing. You can watch something here. But want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank Chase and Dan. Want to thank Jarrett Butcher. Dylan Blenkhorn for joining us. Denver Matchup. My name is Tim Terry. Paul Strickland Jr. is on the buttons. Until next Wednesday night, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.
Yes, believable.